Here we have the solutions for Progress Test 4, the B standard questions on Unit 4. And the first question asks us to find the value of 1.1 divided by 1.1 and then multiplied by 1.1. Well, if we have 1.1 divided by 1.1 and then multiplied by 1.1, well, the first thing we need to do is work left to right. Well, 1.1 divided by 1.1 is just 1. And that's going to be multiplied by 1.1. And 1 times 1.1 is simply 1.1. For question 2, what is 1/2 of 1/4 of 1/2? So we have 1/2 of 1/4 of 1/2. And for these, we simply multiply the numerators, 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. And the denominators, 2 times 4 times 2, well, that would be 16. Final answer there is 1/16. For question 3, we have to round 99.9983 to 2 decimal places. So 99.993 to 2 decimal places. Well, the second decimal place is here. So we have to check this value here. And is it 5 or more? If it is, then we need to add 1 to this value here. Now when we do that, well, 9 and 1 is 10. Carry the 1. We get 9 and 1 is 10 again. Carry the 1. 9 and 1 is 10. Carry the 1. And 9 and 1 is 10. So the final answer is 100 to 2 decimal places, 2 dp. Write the following in ascending order. 1.229, so let's start with that one. So 1.229. Then we get 121%. Now what we need to do, we need to have this as a decimal so we can directly compare it with these other three. Well, 121% is 1.21. Then we have 1.2, and then we have 1.212. Now the best way to do this is to add some more zeros so we can directly compare. And we can see that the smallest value here is 1.2, this one here. Then we have 1.21, so that's number 2. This is number 3, and that is number 4. And we have to write these in ascending order, so from smallest to largest. So the smallest one is this one here at 1.2. So we have 1.2. The second one is 1.21. Well, that came from this one here, 121%. So we have to write these using these original values here. The third one is 1.212. And the last one is 1.229. For this last question, we have 0.7 plus 0.3 divided by 0.2, and then the whole lot is divided by 0.1. So I'll just do the solution here. So 0.7 plus 0.3. So we need to do this bracket first. Well, 0.7 and 0.3 is 1. Then we're going to divide that by 0.2 and divide all of that by 0.1. Now if we look at this numerator, when we want to divide by a decimal, well we can't, we need a whole number here. So we can multiply this by 10. And if we multiply this number by 10, we multiply this number by 10 as well. So what we end up there with is 10 divided by 2. And that's all divided by 0.1. Now 10 divided by 2 is 5, so we get 5 divided by 0.1. And again, we can't divide by a decimal, 0.1, so we multiply top and bottom by 10. And when we multiply top and bottom by 10, we get 50 divided by 1, which is 50. So the final answer there is 50.